What is up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Lambgoat's Vanflip podcast. Very lucky today on the podcast, we are joined with longtime Madball band member, Hazen Street member. Not a long time Hazen Street. You know, at one time there was a Hazen Street record, so we'll give you
The
that.
full existence of Hazen Street, that was me.
Yeah. And then currently your new iteration of your musical project, Smoke AD, with
Yes.
Danny Diablo and a slew of other supergroup, quote-unquote, hardcore cats. So welcome to the show, Hoya. How you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, man? Thank you for having me on. And man, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, it's been pretty cool. I mean, obviously following Madball forever and a day, because I mean that band's been around, Jesus, since I was a kid.
Yeah.
I wasn't even into it at that time. You know what I mean? I was so young.
I did 30 years myself with the band, so I know. So yeah.
Yeah, you were on like every album, every full length album, right? Not a couple of the EPs, but a couple of full.
Yeah, I did all the albums and then all the EPs after. Like they had like 2 7-inches before me, you know, and then but I did all the albums and all the stuff from then on, from Set It Off on, basically.
I know we brought up Hazen Street for a brief second, but before I forget, another one of our employees here wanted me to ask when the next Hazen Street record is going to come out. But
listen, I know everybody asked, and look at everybody who was involved with it loved the band, and shout out to Chad Gilbert. He, that's like family, and shout out to he's the hardest guy we know. You know what else? He was a big part of this. He did a lot. It was a lot of his songs, and it was him wanting to play with his friends. So, again, without Chad, I would personally have nothing to do with it. And I think everybody else would be the same. But, it's, never say never. We all would love to, but it's so hard the way everything is. Everybody got kind of their thing going on.
Yeah.
So, but never say never,
Yeah, well, that's always good. So, hey, we're not shutting the door completely. There's no nail in the coffin, but, we'll leave it open-ended.
Exactly, exactly. No nails.
All right. So let's talk about, we can get into some other past situations that you were a part of later on in the episode, but let's just jump into Smoke AD or Smoke All Day. I don't know what you guys refer to it as. But.
Yeah, both. You picked. That was the thing. Like I was saying, it's my new band. I had to do it myself and get away from calling it a project because it's not a project. It's my band. Project seems to be like something that you do kind of like a hobby. And I'm like, I live this music shit, so there's no hobby about it. And, but no, man, we worked so hard on it and never had this much fun making music in my whole entire career. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can honestly say that, like, from the vibe to who was involved and how we put the songs together, I put a bunch of the stuff, I had a lot of ideas. And I had to get with people that are on the same brainwave because I'm a guy who I like doing music. Everybody in the same hut, you know what I mean, under the same roof, kind of doing their thing like that. And we just basically smoked and made music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, what a great experience I had, and I'm happy with the production, with the songs, and the amount of time we had to do it and everything. Like with this band, I get to go. There's no limits from what even with Madball, there was a limit on what you could do. I was always the guy into crossover and the metal stuff.
Gotcha.
But that band, you couldn't do that, so I used to have to sneak it in little by little. I used to do it in doses, and even then, it had to be limited. With this, I made it a point to paint the picture of you don't know what this picture is, because it's all heavy. All groove, crossover. Like, again, I got some thrash stuff. I got some, like this Vi Con Dios that just came out today is on that industrial tip. Again, we fans of electric music, heavy music, hip-hop music, metal, everything. Now we were directing our energy towards, I always wanted to do an electric kind of that type of track.
Yeah.
And I talked to Sean, who, he's a beat maker, and also we share the same brain in a lot of the styles we like. And we talked about it. We said, let's make a real ignorant breakup song. Real meathead.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and straightforward kind of thing, and with a cool vibe. And I'm amped on the song, how the song came out, and again the videos, we do it all ourselves. And shout out to Zeus for the he killed the production.
Yeah.
On I'm just happy, and we're getting ready to be playing out. You know, we're gonna start touring and doing the whole thing because I got an album in the works right now also.
Nice.
So I already started that, and I got too many ideas that I gotta, and E's ready to go. You know what I mean? So
it sounds like it is your project, like you said earlier. But are you the main like writer for the whole project, or is it kind of like a group effort, like you said?
Yeah, like it wasn't meant to be that, but yeah, like the track we just put out today, the industrial track. Sean put that together. He worked putting beats together in the past and stuff. We kind of talked about what we wanted, and then, but I wrote with E, but I wrote all the lyrics and all the music to all the other stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't planning to write all the lyrics, but they came out, and I was happy how they came out because if you like what we're doing or not, one thing nobody will say that is not real and it ain't from the soul, because I can honestly say that shit came out my soul.
Yeah, that's good.
You know, and so I'm psyched on it.
And for those I'm gonna just, not to correct you, but just to clarify for those who are listening, when you're referring to E, Lord Ezak, aka Danny Diablo, of a list of things. So
yeah,
for those who are clueless,
yeah, for sure. And and part of the main nucleus of this, Sean Moore, my boy, again, he had to do with that. Sean's our Nomad member. You know what I mean? He has a spot with this band always, but he also has his other two bands, Twitching Tongues, and he's dropping records with them, and shout out to them and all that. But Sean's part of this nucleus. He's an old friend of mine, and it was good to have him play my, riffs that I have and have it go through his hands and stuff and through his Les Paul and stuff. So we had a blast, and the plan is also in the future on the album. I got a couple ideas for some guests. Cool. Some cool guests to kind of change things up, but friends of ours, but maybe people that you wouldn't expect.
Oh, cool. Interesting tidbit. We'll linger on that little nugget for a little while.
Yeah, for sure.
Where did the idea of like Smoke All Day come to fruition? Obviously, I mean, this isn't something you just didn't start smoking weed yesterday, so clearly, you know what I mean? Clearly this is probably
I started smoking I was late to the game. I tried it when I was 12. I didn't like it. Not till I was like 18. I really started smoking. I that's when it kicked in. I was like, okay, I really like this. This is kind of where I went into. But what happened was, when I left the band, I had a lot of ideas and stuff that I wanted to do, and I was like, now's my time to put this new band together. And I said, I didn't, it's a new day and age from when we started. I didn't want to present it the 101 way. I said, wait a minute. I also got a podcast and a web channel. The Smoking Word TV is my web channel, and I right now I got the what do you call it? I got a trailer on there, and I think I got one episode, but I got a mini series of a cannabis travel show.
Oh, cool.
Right? Kind of the idea, we travel to legal states, check out the mom and pop, food spots, the cannabis there from the big stores to the little stores, and we check out record shops, shows, all that kind of thing. And I said, you know what? We're going to need a theme song. I said, let me write the theme song, and this is going to be how I introduce the new band.
There you go.
And I said, it's on a metallic tip, and I did the wordplay with the Smoke All Day, the AD, where it makes it, it's more on that kind of tip. And it was more like, it's about, it was based around the channel. And I said, let me get all smokers. But it's not just about weed. Obviously, we are weed guys, and the music is written by them. But it's about people, like-minded people getting together and making something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, I'm psyched on it. I'm really psyched on it, man.
Well, when you were saying that you were late to the smoking weed game, I thought you were going to hit me with like a much later age, because I was late, in my opinion. I was like 26. You hit me with, you were 12 and 18, dude.
To be honest with you, I think you did it at the right age.
Probably.
Where your brain is more developed, and then be like, okay, now let me start killing some cells. You know what it is? It was just like, again, I wasn't that, but I was drinking 40s. I was on that, for a while, and I'm glad I did it. You know what I mean? The weed always seemed to help me focus in reality, in all fairness. Like, I never wrote a song not high, and it ain't to be like, oh, I'm a weed guy. It's just I could not focus on working on certain things. I had to get baked and kind of ooze in, and it's like, right, let me ease in these tracks, and do that kind of shit. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, the weed, the music, the vibe, it always went. Helped me on the road. So it was always a part of me. Now it's finally the weed time for people. I was the weed guy when everybody's drinking IPAs and Zima bullshit or whatever.
Yeah,
now it's my
weed
time.
Weed culture is like gone the beer culture route. It's all so many more hops and so much more this, that, and the other.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, listen, I'm the Snoop Dogg of this shit in the heavy music. Ain't nobody blowing me out the box. Yeah. Bring it on. Was it difficult being the weed guy in like in a hardcore band that's usually around like other hardcore bands? And I ask because like when I turned 40 last year, but I didn't get into hardcore until much later. I'm in Florida, so we had gotcha. I did have Madball come through. Yeah. So, but at the time that I got into hardcore, late 90s, early 2000s, straight edge was really popping. So I associated straight edge and hardcore hand in hand, gotcha. And I didn't really think about like weed heads or people that drank or did drugs doing a lot of like New York style hardcore. But when you get older, you find out, oh no, that's where it all came from originally. Yeah. You know what it was back then? I hate saying back then because I'm not like these old school guys. I started going to shows in '88. I'm not like from the Murphy's Law. That's a way before me. But the fact was, when we went, you had straight edge kids, you had people that drank, you had people that smoked weed, you had, a preppy, you had goth people still coming to hardcore shows. It was like kind of whatever it was, you know what I mean? I always smoked, so back in the day, it definitely was worldwide, definitely harder to get because I was always looking, and for so many years, it got to the point where now I show up to places, they come because they know, but I've been doing this for a while. And also, the culture opened up, you know what I mean? It's more accepted and all that. So, people know me. I'm glad I laid the groundwork many years for that. So, because I've been able to blaze everywhere from like, literally, I blazed from in Thailand to freaking a volcano that was semi-erupting in Japan. I blazed, in Canada and freaking, the Great Lakes. Name it, on Lake Zurich in Switzerland. Like, I did that Willie Nelson shit.
It's kind of weird too, because I think only people that engage in that type of behavior, whether it's nefarious or not nefarious, when you're smoking weed, like people may not care, like, oh, I smoked weed here or there, but like as a weed head or as a person who smokes weed, not a weed head, but and especially yourself, someone who lived, like you said, in the time frame where like you could literally go to jail for many years doing anything.
Oh yeah. So, that was like insane. Like you gotta understand, like we got strip search in the Canadian border because they found shake, and they found a gram of shake. I'm not even exaggerating. It would be like the equivalent of like 3 grains of rice, and they said, "We got you."
Yeah,
I'm like, "Got what?" Like freaking, it was stuck in the carpet. We got strip searched. Oh shit, we still got let in. I'm like, what was that all about? I've been to everywhere on the planet that you could possibly play almost, and I never had to deal with that in the border like that. And I love Canada.
Yeah,
but I don't like the border.
When was that?
But
what time frame?
When?
Yeah, like what time frame?
Oh, that was definitely the 90s when we got strip searched. Yeah. It was definitely, and I remember they go, yeah, we had Metallica here, and they were bragging about like lining up Metallica and Celine Dion. I'm like, this is really like this.
Yeah, that's what they get. That's what they light them up, and they just put them on like tally marks on their thing. Like, oh yeah, we got
Willie Nelson. Like, yo, we got this guy. But yeah, so it's like, again, I don't think about it. Like I always just wherever I would go, there's always a weed guy. Like
there's always a weed guy. That's for sure. That's one of the things. That's what I was saying. Is like as a person who smokes weed, and it's harder to travel with it, especially internationally or something like that. I've done it, but it's sketchy. But it's also like cooler when you go to a place like any of those South Asian countries. You can't go to the Philippines and smoke pot. You'll get fucking thrown in jail.
Yeah. Hell no. Yeah,
or they'll
for
hang
sure.
you or something. So like it's cool.
They'll have the best hash in these places. and in Europe has opened up, and I got that. And the Europe culture is banging. In Spain and all that. Again, I grew up in Europe. I've been, I was touring Europe 30 years. I grew up out there, and it's crazy. Like there's always been a culture, very small. Now it's wide open. And I lived in Holland. I was married. My wife, rest in peace, she passed, but she was Dutch, so I lived in Holland. I know all about it. So,
was it hard juggling all that and being in a New York-based band?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was all hard, especially since there's no money in this shit.
Yeah.
But it's like that's why you get to meet good people, good women that would understand the struggles of a musician.
Yeah, there you go. It's always keen to have one of those in your back pocket.
I get one or two.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
It's good. So what? I mean, how long was the idea for Smoke AD, and then how long did you debate on? Did you ever think about juggling both projects, or did you know that the time in Madball was coming to an end, and it was just time to turn the chapter on that?
Yeah, it was just it was a wrap. You know, I wanted to do other things, and you know, we were moving in different directions musically and just business wise. You know, I needed to be more active. You know, we can't afford. I never seen no royalty check, none of that bullshit. You know, everything I got was from being on stage. So if we're not on stage, I can't feed my family.
Yeah.
So with that being said, when people ain't that active, I had, what I got to do, and I had to take matters in my own. Instead of doing both, it wasn't worth that for me. For me, I want to invest all my time into, something that I'm gonna build. I'm not just trying to maintain anything. I need to build and try to make a living for myself. The other thing was stagnant for me.
I got you.
So, and it was time. I got too much music in me. I wrote 10 albums, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, all the music, like 90% of all that music is mine. I wrote, and I'm like, I this is what I do. And, and I said, and I have a lot of ideas, and now I get to play with some friends that I always wanted to play with, and also do it on a different level with the mentality and the knowledge of 30 years in the game.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like special forces now putting this shit together,
Yeah, and I mean, Madball hadn't had an album in over 5 years, 6, 7 years, something like that, right?
Yeah, something like For the Cause was the last thing.
Yeah, I don't even know if you would know if they're working on anything or not, but
yeah, I don't know. I would like to think, you would hope so.
Yeah.
I was like, again, my whole point is, again, once I got this started, I was like, I had too much, and let's go get it. That's why I dropped the EP. This is our third video we just dropped today,
Yeah.
Third video, and we got 2 more tracks that are on the EP that comes out next month. We got the vinyls on Blackout, Cortex and Static Era Records. They're all collectors. We got the dope color vinyl, the artwork. We really went in on the artwork because, you get it big.
Yeah. So
we made sure it's like quality stuff. And everything, the production, I'm psyched on everything, and just had the whole project, like, it was like, again, like, it was fun and gratifying.
Yeah.
To like make a new baby and be like, okay, yo, we got a good start right now. We got a good little, baby Hulk right here.
Was it? Were you ever worried about like starting fresh though? Because I mean, granted, again, that you guys have the namesays of like all those big dudes from those bands and stuff like that, but still, stepping out and
I know what you mean.
You're in a weed focused kind of band in the world and stuff like that. I just didn't know if it was like daunting to like start that over and again with the infant baby.
Yeah, you know what it is. I think if you were younger and newer in the game, it would matter more. I know what it is. Like. You know how many people talk shit on Madball? Like, it's talking. So it was like, they're going to talk shit anyway. Like, these people would talk shit no matter what. So they're either going to ride with you no matter what you do or they're not. So I just said, this is me. I'm going to show who I am. If you don't like who I am, well, fuck you.
Yeah.
But this is who I am. That's the way I do my music. I wear my music is my outer skin, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So there's no shame in my game if you like it. And to me, I always said, oh, you're just not up on it. I did it with Madball. When everybody was doing the Hey Hoes, I did Look My Way. I took it to, we got metallic when everybody was turning punk rock. Again, that's how I do. That's where I'm at with it. Nobody tells me where to go, and I don't go against just to go against. I just go where I feel like I need to go.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I got you.
And and I just let it come out. The way it's coming out is the way it's coming out, and I let it breathe like that, and it has a life to its own that way, And I could give that little tidbit to people out there. You don't gotta micromanage everything you're doing musically. Sometimes if it feels right, it's right. That's it.
I mean, that's with everything, and I'll go ahead and double back on you and agree with you, but that's something that came with being over 30, 35 years old. I realized that at that point that you can let go and stop worrying about the little stuff.
Yeah,
sometimes.
and there's some shit that's sad and you're mad, but then you realize, wow, that's 10 years ago, and life went on in many great. And it's sad. There's chapters in life. You go through chapters. I do it with music, albums. They're all chapters. Everything is different. You're a different time stamp in life. Right now, I'm in the Smoke AD time stamp, and I've never been more focused. The music hasn't been better, more well thought out of, and coming out of me the most. Like I feel like I'm 15 again in my room when I'm writing now. I really do, and I haven't felt like that in, I could say, many, many, many years.
Yeah, that's great.
Honestly,
Did you find that there was any kind of like weird division within fan bases or friends of yours that, like, oh, you left Madball to do this other project? Or
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But you kind of hear it because it's kind of like, I know some of these people might take it as, like their band that they know and this and that, or why did he leave and this and that. But that's also not nobody's business.
Yeah, I mean, but on the surface, to your defense and to Madball and Freddie's defense, like everyone seemed cordial at the split. I mean, and again, whatever's going on internally is between you guys and them. But I mean, you guys spent so long together. It's not unusual that people, quote unquote, break up and go different directions, especially
exactly.
After,
And shit happens, and and exactly, and it's like that. Again, definitely that happened. And you see people, they're either gonna support you or not. But the way I look at it is, those people wouldn't have supported me unless I was under that umbrella. So they were really, they were supporting the idea. They weren't supporting me. Yeah. And I'm cool with that because I know what it is now. Now I got people who support me because the idea is still not there yet.
Right.
So some people, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
sure.
To me, right now, is people who get involved with this, it's almost like, yo, we're going to grow with this. It's a different experience. Yeah. People that get into that may have got into it already, that band being something in their head. And now they got into it at this point in their life, and this band means this, and that's cool. That's how it works.
But again, like you're saying, I think a lot of bands live under the umbrella of some things, and I'm not saying Madball or any band in particular, but there are definitely older bands that just continue to live off of their like second album or first album.
Agreed.
And they've done 15 other albums since then.
Agreed. And that's one shit I always hated, and one shit I always said I would never be a part of, and one thing I would never be a part of. Whenever I feel something is whack, or if I don't feel that it got soul, I'm out.
And I'm not trying to say that was a Madball situation. I'm just saying in general.
Absolutely.
Okay,
and I'm not saying that either.
No,
but definitely, I'm saying I could say that. There's nothing with my name that I put on that I connect my name to it that I ain't trying to take people's heads off. Okay. So if anything you hear that I'm connected to in my head, this is the best product Hoya could put out. I'm not putting stuff out. Oh, that's a cool track. I won't put out just a cool. I gotta think, nah, this is it. Even if people don't get it, I gotta be like, no.
Yeah.
I gotta take your head off.
Yeah.
Bring me those scalps like in the movie. That's what I say. And that's what I try to do. Sonically take your scalp.
Yeah. That's great.
I want people to be like, oh, shit. Oh, shit. Yo, that's cool. And that's what I want. I got you. Make things interesting and fun. It's music,
It's not real life. I mean, it is real life.
Exactly. It's not real life. Yeah. I'm on a Mars. It's not rowing boats to fucking work every day to every show.
Just their fans.
Shout out to them.
Just their fans in the mosh pit.
Yeah.
They're definitely doing it in the mosh pit, but they're not really.
Yeah, no, but again, it's just, people do what they do. I'm a musician, so I do music, and that's what I'm doing now. I'm really psyched on everything. Again, today's, right now I'm doing a bunch of interviews also because, the video dropped. So I'm excited about that. We worked hard on it, and it's a cool ass track that people are kind of bugging out on, which was the plan. Yeah. Going on the industrial tip for this one song. So
I have this argument. I have this argument all the time because I missed the boat on the 80s hardcore, but I did get wrapped up into nu metal. And so when I listen to a lot of 80s New York hardcore or, late 90s or early 90s stuff, it is very, like E-Town Concrete and the first Limp Bizkit album to me are relatively the same. And I get, I get dumped on for that. But
no, you're right.
I feel I am right. I feel like the rap rock crossover really did a lot in hardcore way back in the day because that's where it's from. Yeah. And I don't know really what happened, why rap rock turned into nu metal and then just got like a really bad name. But, it's fun going back and seeing like those connections and all that. It's just so weird, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Full
but to
circle.
me, I never hated on any of those. I may have my opinions on certain bands, but I fucked with anything that the new metal shit brought big grooves.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
could I hate grooves? But where they were influenced, hip hop and hardcore and this and that, and a lot of those early new metal guys will tell you that they were influenced from hardcore, but they were in hardcore bands, and it ain't all about hardcore either. You know what I mean? Like it was always about punk rock, hardcore, and metal, and what you got when you mix these things up. And then you added this and that made it, back in the day, the guys from Venom, Celtic Frost, they were listening to Discharge. The guys from Discharge were listening to black metal. And, saying, if I'm going to listen to some shit, I'm going to listen to the real stuff.
Yeah.
These people were in the same a melting pot, and I come from that. I love thrash.
Yeah.
And I love groove. So I could accept, some new metal stuff that's kind of off timing. I was never into off timing anything. I just don't get it. I hate jazz. But I love the setups. I love the musicianship. And sonically, these fucking people could play like savages.
Yeah.
And they make me step my game up,
One of the bands I really, really got into in the late like 99 to early 2000s was Il Nino. And I mean, I went decades without knowing the real story behind El Nino. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like everyone's from a hardcore band in New York. I'm like, oh my God, dude. But then it makes me, it's weird. It's so, because
you know what it is? And it's funny you say that because I used to think that too. But when you look to the connection, we all into extreme music.
Yeah.
So if we're not automatically if we get into what's around now, not everybody just got into what's now. The what's now at one point was the new shit. That's why you would find Guns N' Roses. You find out Duff was in punk bands, hardcore. But then you find out who else? The guy from, this big metal band played in this hardcore band. And then, this punk band and this band. And you know what I mean? And then you find out, Mike Ness, Social D. You find out, okay, they all came from extreme music. It was not accepted everywhere. So where did extreme music live with each other? It was the art, the hip hop. If it was metal, punk rock, it was all the misfits under one roof.
Yeah.
And then you got the hybrids,
Yeah, for sure. And that I was always like I wasn't really keen on calling like Il Nino kind of like hardcore. But in my head, I'm like, dude, these are like, when I would revisit it after being in the hardcore for a couple years, like after a decade, I went back and listened to like Revolution, and I'm like, there's breakdowns in this motherfucking record. Yeah. I was like, this is crazy.
No, they all come and love hardcore.
Yeah.
But, again, if you're doing something sonically metal, the same thing like what Hatebreed is. Those are hardcore kids. Hatebreed's hardcore kids with a metallic sound. The whole energy is hardcore, but the sound obviously is metallic. Those are hardcore kids, but are they a hardcore band? You could say, and also you could say a crossover band. Yeah, you could say a metal band. Yeah, you could say that. They could say that.
Yeah,
I
call them like one of the biggest hardcore bands of all time. That's just how I look
absolutely.
at it. Yeah,
Yo, they're real hardcore kids. No matter what it is, no matter if you want to say they're a metal band, whatever, they're hardcore kids, and they'll tell you that.
Yeah.
That's where we come from, and we all proud of that. But it's also like, I'm proud when I see hardcore kids everywhere.
Yeah,
I go to a rap show. People that manage all these big pop stars or sound men or work in the bands, you find out they were all in metal bands and hardcore bands, and it's great.
They're all TMing, gigging, or
playing in the live bands.
Yeah, or they're like teching or doing all sorts of. We're out there, and the thing is too, like we get a lot of like shit online sometimes when like we post. Because I think that's interesting. I think that's interesting to find out that someone from our little small world is infiltrated a much larger world. So like,
absolutely,
when the guitar player for Luke Bryan or whatever is wearing a Hatebreed shirt, I'm going to post about it on Lambgoat because I want you to know that it stretches further than you think. You know what I mean?
I love it. And for sure, I'm the same.
It grasps everything. But yeah, I mean, now that I think about it, Hatebreed was probably like my Gorilla Biscuits for like the generation prior to me. You know what I mean? Because that was like the heavy hitters then at that time.
Yeah.
Under the Knife and Perseverance came out. Like that was fucking nuts. It was over.
Yeah, no, for sure. And we took them out on that tour. They were early, and I remember even then seeing them early, and I was like, oh shit, like this is some other shit.
Yeah.
Kids then, they were like second out of 4 bands. 5 bands, and already I remember people going off. I was like, oh, this is something else. Was
there a time when you were growing up, like, because obviously growing up in New York and being around like one of the pivotal pockets for hardcore, the scene in general, like was there a time where you kind of realized like, oh shit, this is getting bigger than just my neighborhood city area, or as like, oh no, hardcore's, and this could be years later, but hardcore is going to stay around for a lot longer? Because like when I was a kid, I didn't necessarily think I'd still be listening to hardcore at 40, and I'm sure you were the same, you know.
Yeah, no, the same thing. I didn't know. It's just you don't know till you're already way far in and you look back. You know, it was after like 15, 20 European tours, you look back, you're like, wait a minute. I just like, again, no joke, I've been touring Europe the average of 3 times a year for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, not till like 15 years later, I look back, I was like, yo, I've been out here 15 years. And then I started seeing kids that were little kids come the next time. Now they have their girlfriends. Now they're married. Now they bring their little kids. Now their little kids are coming on their own.
It's a crazy time.
Insane.
All for some breakdowns.
You know, keep them coming. You know, you keep coming, I'll keep charging at the door.
Yeah, that's how it is. How did you get into like playing in bands? I'm sure you've talked about it before, but you know, here we are.
Yeah, no, my older brother, rest in peace, he passed too. He was into hardcore and metal, extreme heavy, you know, the extreme shit early on in the early 80s. So it was always in my house in the background. I always had Venom, Celtic Frost, Agnostic Front, Cro-Mags blasting. And then my sister, rest in peace, who passed, she was in the other room playing freestyle music, dance music. Cool. And I was a hip-hop guy. So I absorbed everything. You know, I liked the sound and the thing of metal, but I didn't like the makeup stuff. And then when I saw hardcore, I said, okay, it's not as production-wise, but I like the attitude and it looks more my style. And I was a hip-hop guy, and I loved only hard hip-hop. So it made sense, you know what I mean? The LES, the street life. I was like, I like real shit. Mm-hmm. And I knew from my brother, I just kind of was like, you know, I never really had to learn about it. I kind of learned as I grew around my brother.
Yeah, firsthand,
yeah.
I mean?
Yeah,
that's that's one thing I'm very jealous about. Not that I'm very jealous that you grew up in New York City or anything like that. I mean, at one point I probably was jealous of kids that grow up in New York City just because they're like, in my head, ahead of the game.
I know
you know what I mean? They're a little ahead of the game.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely happy at the time as far as hardcore goes, New York hardcore, when I came up. I think I came up at the best time. And when we were coming up, it was dead. But it was so much different flavor, and we watched it start getting bigger with all these bands being, you know, the E-Towns, you know, and back then, you know, you had Fahrenheit, then the Scarheads and the Crown of Thorns and the H2Os. Now you got all these bands coming out, the other waves, the shifts later on, and bands start crossing. Now you got this other, you know, we had from everything, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like literally the best of the past. You know, I just caught a good era, I think. Like 90s for, like midnight, like early 90s for hip hop. I think I caught the golden era, you know?
I'm sure you've attended many shows at venues that are like no longer around, but that are like, you know, meccas for a lot of hardcore punk bands and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what I was saying. Like I get jealous a little bit, and again, just to be a part of that little scene would have been cool. You know what I mean? Like
no, it was definitely a great time to be in New York and say I was around going to live music in New York for sure. Because you know, as much as I had beef with CBs because they were scumbags in a lot of ways, that was home. You know, it was the best sounding club, best size club, best everything about it. You know, so.
Yeah, that's a bummer. That's one place I never got to even just check out, even if it was.
I get that one for sure. I get that for a club like, because that's like Empire State Building. You know, you don't even gotta like. You just know about it from the merch and the
everything.
Stuff.
Yeah.
The things that come out of it,
the brand is way surpassed the building. You know what I mean? But
absolutely. So,
did you ever, when you made the decision to kind of step away from your long running project, what was like? Give me a rundown. Like the week after that, like were you itching? Were you itchy? Were you like, what did I do? Looking forward to
it was kind of like I kind of knew what was going on. Like I kind of was already, you know. Again, the band was already going slow, you know what I mean? So it wasn't hard to kind of like ease out, and it was, you know, since they were moving so slow, by the time it was ready for them to start talking about doing something new, I said, yo, you know, it's a good time to let you know, yo, I'm gonna be leaving. You know, because for whatever be the reason, I said, yeah, I want to give you guys enough time. I don't do that leaving people in the middle, you know.
Yeah, because you did a couple tours afterwards.
Yeah, you know, exactly. I wasn't doing that. I said, yo, you know, I'm gonna finish whatever I got and whatever, and before you guys, because he was, they were talking about records, and I said, I'm not gonna, get that started. I'm already, so I didn't want to be in the way to whatever they had to do to make an album. So I already knew what I was doing, and I had told them, with time also, before it was announced, they knew months before, so it was not like
that's cool.
But I knew a while ago. I was already, a feeling that I needed to do more.
I get it. It's just when something actually happens and then you're on the other end of it, you could be like, "Ooh, that was." I'm itchy now. Like, do I write a mad ball?
And I was to play obviously, I got music in me. That's why since I left, I dropped the EP. I got a label, and I'm dropping an album. I already got 3 songs for my new album. So I'm on a mission right now.
That's good, man. That's good. Well, congratulations on that. Let's talk about some fun stuff. You started smoking at 12 and then really at 18.
Yeah.
What is go ahead.
No, and then I never stopped.
That's what I was going to ask. I was going to say, did you ever have a break in there or whatever? And I can say I don't think I've ever really particularly had a break. I mean, I've definitely gone with breaks without buying it, but if it's around, you know what I mean?
No, I've gone months without it and stuff. There was stuff that I had if I was dealing with some medical stuff in the past or whatever it might be or whatever. But nothing by choice really anymore. And I like, for me, I know it's, it's my coffee. You know what I mean? I know what it is. I know what I do with it. And it keeps me, that's my vice. I got one vice. I stay home, take care of my children, and I blaze and write music. That's all I do, and that's all I want to do.
I'll say this. I probably drank way less once I started smoking weed because I was drinking prior. And then even then I was like drinking liquor before I even drank beer because I didn't like beer. So I was just getting really
I was the same way. Back in the day, I would drink a quart of, the not the super big, but the next bottle down of Bacardi. That was for me, just to get nice. And I ain't a drinker. And I used to come off tour with the shakes, and I said, wait a minute, now I know there's a problem because I'm not a drinker, and now I'm coming out with the shakes. I said, and I was 400 pounds about back then, So I had to, pick my fights, and Mary Jane is just too sexy.
Yeah, that's true. I think about it all the time, man. I think about giving it up all the time, and then I'm like, whatever.
So
part of me thinks it just takes sometimes like the day just goes to shit if I do it during the day. Although that's certain if I'm doing like indica or something like that.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's why you need a sativa and all that. But
what do you choose? What is your particular strains or type of that you enjoy?
If I have a choice, sativas during the day and an indica at night, it's just again because I want to be up and I like smoking throughout the whole day. So But again, I'm just a fan. I like to have a little buzz on. It keeps me focused.
So I do enjoy. I also like to smoke all day, but the problem is when I get like the indica stuff.
Yeah, no, it puts you out for sure.
It makes me feel high though. That's what I associate feeling high. The sativa kind of high is like this doesn't work as well. That's like not as great.
It is, and that's why because you can smoke all day, you can smoke more. That's the point. You gotta pick your thing. But
no, my business partner's always telling me, he's like, "Dog, you got to get sativa," because I'll be, we'll be working, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I don't want to do anything."
Exactly, with the sativa keep blazing, But I got my little routine worked out, so it works for me. So
I had to stop smoking before these podcasts. We used to do them in person prior to the pandemic, and then just became like a normal thing to do it on Zoom. But like, man, I'd get super blazed with guests on before then, and then like we would just like stumble into the
look
podcast.
At each other.
Yeah, just like, what do we talk about now? But so what are you doing? I know you saying you were doing like one of the things we talk about on this podcast, like you mentioned earlier, how there's like no money in this whole game whatsoever. So one of the things I like to talk about or try to bring light is like obviously most bands don't live off of their touring or streams. So like, do you have any other kind of like outlets or things like hobbies that generate any kind of income that you would like to share with? Obviously,
Smoke AD is the plan.
Yeah, there you go.
That's it. I don't see no royalties. I don't see nothing unless I was on stage. That's how it worked for me at least. And so I need to get back on stage. And I got my own merch company, CasaDeRock.com, where I got my own, we print the Smoke AD stuff, and I got that and stuff. And, we do that for income. And just doing that, I'm rebuilding, I'm starting from scratch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, right now, I live off of Patreon. I live off my merch.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, because you have like the show and the podcast. Are those like monetized in a way to where you have like
but I'm lucky. I'm lucky to have people that support me and make it happen, at least to get me to, the next spot. And that's why I'm grinding. We're about to get this band off the road. We're going to be on the road this summer, and we're literally gearing up for that now, literally as we speak. So I'm
Is it like a full-time touring thing? Like, I've obviously you said like the project's the main thing is a full-time thing, but is it going to be like a full-time like when you were 20?
Yeah, we're going to be hitting the road. I ain't planning to sleep on couches, but but we are going to be everywhere. The whole point is the world got to get a taste one way or another. If we do it at weeks, 2 weeks at a time, whatever, however it works, do a bunch of weekends until the right thing comes. We're going to be out here. You know what I mean?
What's the right thing that Hoya and the boys are waiting on? Is it the Cypress Hill supporting
Yes,
run?
body count, body count, Cypress Hill. There's a couple things we could go with this. You know what I mean?
Is there like it doesn't seem like there's that many bands that kind of fall into that little gap. You know what I mean? Is there like talks of maybe doing some big kind of run with them or with those bands?
That's always been my plan to fall in that zone because what do you call it? Naturally goes towards that.
Right.
So that's where we're looking at. We're looking in that zone, exactly that sweet spot. That's where we think we belong. You know what I mean?
Would you do? Would you do like multi-genre?
Absolutely.
Like
play
tours,
with anybody.
Like
we'll
rap artists.
That's the plan.
Like that? Yeah. Okay. Cool.
That's the plan. I don't want to just do a hardcore tour. Like do a hardcore band for that. Like I want to play. I want to get in front of people that want to hear heavy groove music.
Yeah. Like I wonder, like, because Turnstile does that a lot. Like Turnstile play Rolling Loud, or they'll go out and tour with like.
We'll play
Boys.
anything.
I wonder
we'll
if that's,
play anything. We're ready, and that's the plan to play anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I wonder what the winning rate is for those bands that kind of show up on those to be the one and only band that sticks out on like a festival like Rolling Loud or the Suicide Boys. Like, I wonder how good that was for Turnstile. Really, I mean, obviously, you got their name out to fucking everyone.
I know what you mean, though. I know what you mean. Does it really help? Who knows? Definitely. Having your name on that's a big part. You're on Rolling Loud, like the same way Madball, Limp Bizkit, Korn. Yeah, it was great, but we were also playing with the lights on sometimes in front of people walking. Great experiences. And I'm grateful to those guys. But you know what I mean. But the main thing is, who was on tour with Limp Bizkit and Korn and doing arenas? Madball. Nobody's sitting there counting how many people did people mosh, did they buy merch? No, people just see that. And, wow, it's a great look for a band to show. Look, we could do these type of shows.
When was that? The 2010s or something like that?
Maybe a little later, but maybe something like that sounds right. Before pandemic, for sure.
For sure, yeah. What was that like for you guys to be on tour with those bands?
Great. They treated us as great. It was just 3 bands. We had full production. You know what I mean? Lights.
Crazy, dude.
Dude, we had sound men. We had Limp Bizkit sound man. We had Korn's monitor guys. They're all hardcore dudes.
Are they?
Oh, all of them.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. Oh, so many hardcore. They were like, these guys, like, just to help us out, fucking all came through for us. And, we had a light show. We had fucking monitor men, and we roll with nothing. You know what I mean? It was just them on the strength of, the respect, the love, and also them being like, we seen you back in the day with their,
That's crazy. Well, yeah, a lot of those guys do come. I mean, a lot of the guys in the band do come from those levels of, music and stuff like that. But that is crazy. I totally forgot that you guys did that run with them.
Yeah. So shout out to them. It's cool. Hopefully with this band, I think we could do some cool shit like that. Some mix up these cool metal bills, mixed bills with the new styles and all these kind of bugged out mishmash bills. I'm excited, man.
I'm down.
Excited.
I'm down to go catch a Smoke AD Limp Bizkit show because I'm from Jacksonville anyway, and Limp Bizkit is part of the lure for me.
It's gonna happen. You never know. It's gonna happen. Freddie, you hear this?
And if you hear this, come on the podcast. You're like one of the fucking top 3 guests of my choosing. I need that to happen. But
good shit, but nah.
Yeah. So what do you like to do outside of music?
I just take care of my kids. I got into working out, for health wise, so that keeps me focused. And right now I'm just addicted to the Smoke AD shit, like really building it, and my web channel. And doing that, it's like it engulfed me, and I'm like mentally in a good place with it. You know what I mean?
That's
like
cool.
we put a lot of work in it, and it's good for my type of mind that goes everywhere. You know what I mean?
What kind of stuff do you do on the podcast? And I mean, are they separate? They're like separate things, right? The YouTube channel and the podcast are separate.
We have one show called The Hard Corner where it's kind of like a news channel where we give new bands, play new bands, shows that are coming up. And then I got the Smoking Word podcast where I do what you do. I get guests. I've had all types of guests, MMA guys from, metal guys, hardcore guys, you name them, comedians. I got a lot of friends. So, I had some cool people. So definitely check that out too, the Smoking Word podcast,
Way cooler than this one because you can have other guests. I get so envious of like people who can have other types of guests.
Yeah.
Where I don't hate talking to fucking bands that I grew up listening to.
I know what you mean. It's just a matter of asking, and then you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
So.
I just don't know how, could I have a comedian come on the podcast? I don't know. Maybe if we talked about metal and hardcore.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I just, I'm psyched. Everything else is going good. Everybody, make sure you get that video. Definitely push the video. Comment on it, even if you don't like it, but you're gonna love it.
Yeah, you can check it out on Lambgoat, but
yeah, definitely go check it out on Lambgoat, and then hit us up on the Smoke AD page and all that. Right now, I'm doing that and making my rounds. Right now, I'm lucky that got a couple of people been talking to, like you and some other people, trying to let spread the word and shit.
Yeah. I want to kind of end on the podcast situation and how you kind of got into that and how long because I don't get to talk to a lot of other people that do podcasts, Hoya. So
no, it's cool. I did it before pandemic, when it was kind of just starting, but it was harder back then. I used to have my sound man help me. It was a bigger production with the microphones and all that shit. It was such a pain in the ass, and it was hard for me to keep up. But I had some early ones. Then, boom, I took time off, and then the pandemic happened, and then I started seeing people using Zoom. And I said, perfect way to bring the podcast back and keep the band relevant and myself. So I brought it back, and as I started doing that, I started working on my cannabis show and then working on the band. It got me ready for everything else. I said, I want to have a channel to base everything out of. The channel's the house, and we got the shows, the band, and everything lives in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's good, man. That's cool.
So,
Well, I appreciate your time, big dog. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I'm glad we didn't get too high beforehand, but I also am bummed that we didn't.
Next time we're gonna do a high cast.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
But thanks a lot. But for sure, everybody just go get that EP. It drops next month, 5 tracks, and I think people are gonna feel it. It's definitely, we put a lot of work into it. And I'm psyched on it.
Yeah, and if you want more Smoke AD content, you can check out Danny's episode of the Vanflip. Lord Ezak was on here earlier. So
yeah, hell yeah. Sounds good, brother.
At some point, I gotta get Sean on and the rest of the band so we can have the whole.
There you go. Yeah, we'll make shit happen next time for sure, brother.
All right. Well, hey, Hoya. Best of luck to you, brother. Congratulations on everything, and we'll talk again, hopefully soon.
Thank you, brother. Have a good one, man, and let me know when it drops, all right?
Will do.
Peace.
Later.